Thanks for joining us on Arirang News. I'm Kim Dami in Seoul. President Yoon has touched down in Hawaii to make a stop at the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command before he heads to Washington, D.C. to attend the NATO summit. Yoon will be highlighting solidarity for regional and global security throughout his U.S. trip. And just a day before the NATO summit kicks off, Russia launched a wave of missile strikes on cities across Ukraine, including a children's hospital in Kyiv. At least 36 people were killed. Now, over in the U.S., President Joe Biden has made clear to doubtful congressional Democrats in a letter that he has no intention of exiting this year's election. President Yoon has landed in Hawaii Monday local time on his way to the annual NATO meeting. Now, the leader will likely project a strong message of solidarity for regional and global security. Our Oh Soo-young follows this report as she travels with the president.
President Yoon will signal South Korea's commitment to enhancing regional and global security as North Korea and Russia's military collaboration threatens peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific and beyond. As President Yoon travels to Washington, D.C. for the North Atlantic Treaty Organization's annual summit, he's stopping by Honolulu, Hawaii. The island state is home to the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, which covers about half of the Earth's surface, including the Korean Peninsula, where some 28,500 U.S. troops are stationed. According to Yoo Ji-un, research fellow at the Korea Institute for Defense Analyses, the president's visit to the command headquarters on Tuesday will not only prove the strength of the 70-year-old South Korea-US alliance, but Seoul's growing role as a contributor to global security.
It underscored South Korea's dedication to countering threats from North Korea and China while aligning with broader international defense strategies. By engaging with both Indo-Pacific Command and NATO, President Yoon highlights the interconnected nature of Indo-Pacific and transatlantic security, promoting a comprehensive defense strategy. This conveys a message of solidarity and cooperation with the key military alliances, reinforcing South Korea's position as a pivotal security partner committed to maintaining stability and peace on a global scale.
Controlling the US's key strategic assets, such as aircraft carriers, nuclear submarines and bombers, the Indo-Pacific Command plays a crucial role in enabling military cooperation between Seoul, Washington and Tokyo to deter North Korea's nuclear and missile threat to regional security. Three-way activities have increased since plans to institutionalize trilateral security cooperation were agreed upon at Camp David last year.
3 countries have conducted more frequent and complex military drills, demonstrating a unified stance against a regional threat like North Korea's missile test. There has been a notable increase in real-time information sharing, bolstering their collective situational awareness and response capabilities. Additionally, collaborative efforts in missile defense have intensified, focusing on interoperability and combined defense strategies.
Given the mounting threat posed by North Korea and its recent treaty with Russia on military cooperation, as well as suspected weapons delivery, Yoo says the 3 Indo-Pacific partners have space to collaborate further on the maritime front.
The navies of South Korea, the US, and Japan could enhance joint maritime patrols and surveillance to monitor and deter illicit activities. Strengthening interoperability through regular advanced neighbor exercises would improve coordinated responses to any threat. Establishing a shared intelligence network would ensure real-time information exchange, which is crucial for tracking adversarial movement.
President Yoon's office says the leader's visit to Honolulu and Washington, D.C. is aimed at strengthening South Korea's security through global cooperation. Based on this solidarity, Seoul will aim to expand its scope of security cooperation to economic and technological partnerships with like-minded countries. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News, Honolulu.
And President Yoon also said Russia will have to choose which side to be with, whether the South or North, ahead of the NATO summit. Now, Russia says it disagrees with Yoon's approach. Our An Sung-jin explains in detail.
Russia has responded to South Korean President Yoon's latest statement. According to Russian state-run media TASS and RIA Novosti, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov stated that he opposes the South Korean president's remarks on having to decide which side of the peninsula is more crucial. Instead, he said that Russia aims to harbor a good relationship with both Koreas. He also said it's difficult to cultivate close ties when Seoul has joined sanctions against Russia. The Kremlin's response comes after President Yoon told Reuters on Monday that whether Seoul provides lethal weapons to Ukraine depends entirely on Russia, and Moscow should be careful about picking sides. Through the written interview ahead of the NATO summit, President Yoon stated that North Korea is a menace to the international society and that military cooperation between Russia and North Korea poses a distinct threat to the peace and security on the Korean peninsula and in Europe. His remarks also stated that Seoul's decision will factor in how the military pact between Moscow and Pyongyang plays out. Ties between Moscow and Seoul have been aggravated by Russian President Vladimir Putin visiting North Korea and signing a strategic partnership treaty on mutual defense. Han Song-jin, Arirang News.
North Korea and Russia's suspected military collaboration appears to be in motion, with a North Korean delegation of military education officials leaving Pyongyang on Monday to visit Russia. The North state-run Korean Central News Agency reported on Monday that a delegation led by Kim Geum-chul, president of the Kim Il-sung Military University, had left for Russia. The report did not specify the purpose, exact location, or the duration of the visit. A South Korean Unification Ministry official told reporters on Tuesday that if there are any tangible military exchanges as a follow-up, the UN Security Council Sanctions Committee will determine whether there have been any violations. Russia conducted airstrike across Ukraine on Monday, hitting a children's hospital and killing dozens in broad daylight. Now, the attacks come as U.S. President Joe Biden prepares to welcome NATO leaders to Washington. Lee Seung-jae has more.
Russia launched large-scale airstrikes across Ukraine on Monday, days before U.S. President Joe Biden welcomes NATO leaders to Washington. Citing Ukrainian officials, the Associated Press reported that at least 31 people were killed and 154 others injured in the attacks. Among the facilities that were hit was a children's hospital in Kyiv, which left civilians buried under the rubble of the partially collapsed building. While the exact extent of the casualties has not yet been confirmed, Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said search and rescue operations are underway and that 7 of the 16 injured were children. Another hospital was also struck in the Ukrainian capital, leaving at least 4 dead, as Ukrainian authorities say at least 20 people were killed in the capital alone. The Ukrainian Air Force says that cruise missiles and Kinzhal hypersonic missiles were used in the deadly airstrikes, adding that 30 of the 38 missiles were shot down. Monday's attack targeting Kyiv was the first since the end of March this year. Klitschko condemned the Russian attack, calling it one of the worst attacks on the capital since the Russian invasion. According to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky during a joint press conference with Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk in Warsaw, Russia, as well as Russian President Vladimir Putin, who ordered the airstrikes, must be held accountable for what he called an act of terror. He added that Moscow responds to everything by attacking homes and hospitals. The call for an emergency meeting comes as Russia took the rotating presidency at the UNSC beginning July 1st. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
With just 4 months left until the United States presidential elections, doubts among Democrats have prompted President Joe Biden to speak out in defense of his campaign. Our Moon Hae-ryun has the details.
U.S. President Joe Biden is fighting back against criticism of his mental fitness and viability following a poor debate performance against Donald Trump last month. In a 2-page letter sent to congressional Democrats on Monday, Biden emphasized that he is firmly committed to staying in the race and to beating Donald Trump. He added that it is time to come together, move forward as a unified party, and that any weakening of resolve would only serve to help Trump. On the same day, he also called into MSNBC's Morning Joe program, where he claimed that he had the support of the average Democrat and challenged his critics in the party. The White House press secretary denied speculation that the president is being treated for Parkinson's disease, while other party figures such as Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries voiced support for Biden after 4 congressmen reportedly held a group call with him, urging their current candidate to step aside. The Democratic caucus meeting is due to take place on Tuesday for the first time since the June 27 debate and could prove a pivotal moment for the path forward. According to CNN, Biden has personally reached out to several Democrats to reassure them that he is aware of the current concerns within the party. He is also set to meet virtually with the Congressional Black Caucus, his strongest bloc of supporters in Congress, as well as members of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. The members of the CBC have defended Biden since the debate, with black voters being key to Biden's campaign as he chose the first black female vice president and nominated the first black woman to be a Supreme Court justice. With just over a month left until the Democratic National Convention, during which the party's presidential candidate is officially nominated, and 4 months until the U.S. presidential elections, this is a critical period for Biden's campaign. Moon Tae-ryun, Arirang News.
Over on Wall Street, the S&P 500 and the tech-heavy Nasdaq hit record highs again on Monday. The S&P 500 rose 5.66 points, up 0.1% from the previous trading day, to close at 5,572.85. The Nasdaq jumped 50.98 points, up 0.28% from the previous trading session, to close at 18,403.74. Both indexes reached fresh record highs on the back of rising tech stocks. Apple, which had seen gains for 5 straight trading sessions on Monday, rose 0.65% to close at $227.82 per share, regaining its status from Microsoft as the company with the top market capitalization. Hopes are fading for a ceasefire deal for Gaza as Israel on Monday initiated a new offensive in Gaza City, claiming the presence of Hamas facilities in the area. Thousands of Palestinians fled following an evacuation warning, with Israeli tanks re-entering central parts of this city. However, despite the warning by Israel ahead of the attacks, Gaza's health ministry said at least 40 people had been killed in the strikes. A senior Hamas official also warned that the assault could bring ceasefire efforts back to square one. The South Korean government has decided that it will withdraw administrative penalties against trainee doctors who left their workplaces over the medical school quota expansion. It's also relaxing its return policy. Yoon-hee tells us more.
It's been 5 months since trainee doctors left their posts, and on Monday, the government announced it will not take any administrative actions on all trainee doctors. This includes the suspension of medical licenses, regardless of whether they choose to return to work. The Ministry of Health and Welfare made the announcement following a meeting at the Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasure Headquarters.
After reviewing feedback from training sites and assessing the current medical field situation, the decision has been made, effective immediately, not to impose administrative penalties on trainee doctors, regardless of their return status.
With the recruitment period set to start on September 1st, hospitals need to know how many trainee doctors will return to their posts so that they can plan how many new residents to recruit. The government is looking to ease the return policy for those who have resigned so they can apply for the second half of the year. The current regulations prohibit residents who resign during their training period to return to the same position within a year.
Training hospitals should finalize resignations and confirm vacancies by July 15th for the recruitment starting on July 22nd.
Last month, the government withdrew various penalties issued to trainee doctors to provide them with some flexibility to return to their duties. However, as of Thursday last week, only 8% of the total 13,000 trainees were at work, which is only 91 more than before the government postponed the medical license suspension. In addition, on Monday, the government promised to speed up improvements in the training environment for trainee doctors, including gradually reducing the maximum working hour limit from 36 hours to 30 hours. However, the dispute over increasing the medical school quota for 2025 remains unresolved, despite the government finalizing the decision over a month ago, as trainee doctors continue to oppose it. Yoon-hee, Arirang News.
Hyundai Motor Company's management and labor union have reached a tentative agreement on wages, shutting down a strike by workers scheduled for Wednesday. During a 12th round of negotiations on Monday, representatives from both sides agreed to a basic salary hike of just over $80 per month. That's the largest negotiated increase of its kind. Plans for incentives, a new recruitment, and the extension of the retirement age were also included in the tentative proposal. If the proposal passes a vote by union members on Friday, there will be no further wage negotiations for the year. That will make it 6 years in a row for Hyundai to reach a wage settlement with workers without any strikes. The shortage of labor in farming is a major problem here in South Korea. Various technological developments have been made towards overcoming this situation, and now, for the first time in Korea, an unmanned automated agriculture production complex has been established in the city of Naju in the Jeollanam-do province. Yoon reports.
This tractor is unmanned, but it moves along the field automatically and prepares the land for farming. After completing its task, a drone returns to its base to switch out its battery and to get refilled with pesticide. In the mini greenhouse where seedlings are raised, robots take care of the seedlings and organize the seedling trays. From seedling management to crop harvesting and supplying water, the various robots carrying out these tasks are controlled in the control room of this high-tech unmanned automated agricultural production demo complex.
We plan to show the core essence of smart agriculture through this unmanned automated demo complex. Moving forward with smart agriculture, I believe we can come up with such innovative measures to reduce production costs as well as labor shortage problems.
The unmanned automated agricultural production demo complex has been operating since 2020 with an investment of around $28.8 million. Its main goal was to create a smart agricultural model. It is the first digital agricultural complex in the country to integrate AI technology.
Smart agriculture can also be an alternative to overcoming climate change. So in the current reality of agriculture in rural areas, smart agriculture may be an important direction for us to go in.
The agricultural population is not only declining, but is also aging. The setup of unmanned automated agriculture production complexes in such rural areas is expected to become an outpost for open field smart agriculture. Yoon, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. Hurricane Beryl made landfall in southeast Texas on Monday morning, killing at least 2 people, closing ports and airports, and leaving more than 2 million people without power. Having been the season's earliest Category 5 hurricane on record when it hit the Caribbean days earlier, leaving at least 10 dead, Hurricane Beryl made landfall in Texas as a Category 1 hurricane with some 130 km/h winds. It was downgraded to a tropical storm as it moved inland across Houston. Over 1,000 flights at the George Bush Intercontinental Airport in Houston have been cancelled, while officials warned of destructive winds and up to 40 centimeters of rain, accompanied by life-threatening storm surges. By Monday afternoon, according to PowerOutage.us, over 2.7 million customers in Texas were left without power. The U.S. National Hurricane Center said that Beryl is expected to move over the east of the state before moving into the lower Mississippi Valley and the Ohio Valley on Tuesday and Wednesday. The director of the Hurricane Center warned residents in Beryl's path to seek shelter, as hazardous conditions will persist even after the center of Beryl moves through. Japan and the Philippines signed a defense pact in Manila on Monday that will allow the 2 countries to deploy military in each other's territory. The Reciprocal Access Agreement is the first of its kind involving Japan in Asia and was signed by Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro and Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa, who praised it as a landmark achievement. A joint statement highlighted the need for the international community to speak out on the importance of maintaining and strengthening the free and open international order based on the rule of law in the South China Sea. Amid increased tension in the region, China's foreign ministry responded by saying the Asia-Pacific region does not need military blocs that instigate bloc confrontations or a new Cold War, while reminding Japan of its atrocities during the Second World War. Aircraft maker Boeing has agreed to plead guilty to a criminal fraud conspiracy charge relating to 2 fatal crashes of its 737 MAX jets, according to a court filing by the US government on Sunday. A Justice Department official said that the plea still requires a federal judge's approval and would give the company a criminal record. Boeing will also be fined $243.6 million. This comes after the Justice Department in May found Boeing to be violating the terms of its probation over charges stemming from crashes in 2018 and 2019, which killed 346 people. The crashes prompted a probe into the company's manufacturing standards, and Boeing was charged in 2021 of conspiracy to defraud regulators, allegedly deceiving the Federal Aviation Administration over its MCAS flight control system, for which it was given the 3-year probation. June 2024 was officially the hottest on record, and this year may also be the hottest ever. That's according to the European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service, which recorded an average global temperature of 16.66 degrees Celsius in June this year. This figure is 0.67 degrees higher than the average temperature for June in the previous 30 years and 0.14 degrees higher than the same month last year. A senior scientist at Copernicus said greenhouse gases emitted from fossil fuels were behind rising temperatures. Climatologists also say hotter temperatures will increase the intensity and frequency of extreme weather across the world. This year, Saudi Arabia and the US were hit by scorching heat, while China, Brazil and Russia saw constant rain. Greece and Canada were also swept by forest fires. Kim Seong, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. Those in Jeollabuk-do and Gyeongsang-do provinces need to stay on high alert against heavy monsoon rain. In fact, Andong and Sangju in Gyeongsang-Buk-do province saw the most single-day rainfall yesterday, and more rain will lash down on those regions with a landslide alert issued as well. Meanwhile, rain clouds will expand to more parts of the country as the day goes on. Many parts will see 30 to 80 millimeters of heavy showers or even more until tomorrow. And this round of rain is forecast to come down hard overnight, so please stay safe. Temperature-wise, heat advisories in certain provinces have been lifted, except on Jeju, with an expected high of 35 degrees this afternoon. But the rest of the country should see highs in the 20s this afternoon. Now, central regions will get a break from monsoon rain in the latter half of the week, but it will be rainy through the weekend in certain parts of Korea. With that in mind, let's take a look at the international weather conditions.
That's all we have at this hour. Arirang News will be back at 2 p.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.